Hi guys, today I quickly wanted to talk to you about some essential tips that improved my workflow inside of Ableton. Let's get right into it. The first tip is to use templates. As you can see, when I open mine, I have already a bunch of tracks. I have a pre-master, I have some buses, I have my reference tracks here. On my master, I like to use some different tools to analyze and measure a bunch of different things. And I also have keyboard mappings already done to open these tools. As you can see, I also have a bunch of MIDI mappings with a MIDI controller that I use to control my pretty complex return channels. I have a bunch of them here that I control with MIDI channels. I also have more simple return channels with different reverbs and delays, stuff like that. And using such template means that when you open it, you get right away in the zone, ready to create your stuff. I keep mine simple, but it's up to you. I've used more complex ones in the past with racks and instruments already loaded into the template, but it's up to you to decide what is going to make you right away in the zone to produce music and have fun. In order to do it, you simply create the project that you want and you click here, Save as Template. If you want it to be the default set when Ableton opens, you save it right there. Okay, second tip that kind of goes along with the template is that you can create a default audio track or a default MIDI track. So for example, as you can see, all my audio tracks, they come with a utility and an EQ. I could do the same for MIDI. I just have to paste the utility, the EQ, and when I right click on my MIDI track, I can say save as default MIDI track. That way, every time that I open a MIDI track, it comes with that. And you can do it with everything that you want. If you always put a utility or EQ or a filter or compressor, or if you want to use like channel stripes, you can simply do it like that. And to extend a little bit, you can even set a default setting for every effect inside of Ableton. So I could, for example, put 3 bands like that, save as the default preset, and every time that I open an EQ, it comes with that setting. Next tip would be an obvious one, to learn the shortcuts from Ableton. The most important thing is to observe what tasks you do the most and find the shortcuts for these actions. So for example, you could create audio track with Control T or Command T, Control Alt T for a MIDI track, Control Alt S to show the send and returns, or Control Alt R to show and hide the return channels. In the arrangement view, I like the Control Alt M to show the mixer. One that I like to use a lot also is to Control F, typing something, go arrow down, enter, just to make the workflow faster. Again, there's a bunch of lists on the internet where you can find all the shortcuts. What you can do also is just look in the bottom left corner in the help window where it will show you some of the shortcuts, or maybe you can also go here and there will be all written down here. You can learn them because again, huge time saver. Now, one thing that I want to go into is really important to me is to resample your sounds, create your own sample packs, create your own racks, create your own libraries of everything. As you can see, I have folders here, different folders with different sounds, whether they're sounds from tracks or sounds that I created during sound design session. I like to save everything, make packs, build my own library that I can go back to and instantly get in the mood to create something. To extend on that, I also have, as you can see here, I have a folder that I call MIDI where I save, because you can drag and drop any single track here. It will save as a Ableton Live project, but when you take this and you drag it into your project, it opens back up. So if you have a chain with a synth or MIDI stuff that you want to save, you can save it as an instrument track. You can save it as you can save the whole track and the whole MIDI track and the whole group of tracks by just dragging it into your collection. Again, to go even deeper, as you can see here, I have an instrument rack with different racks, different effects, different instruments, and a bunch of macro everywhere. So you can assign different settings from your effects or your instruments to your macros, and then you can save variations of these macros. So you create your own instrument rack with your own presets slash variations. You can also resample and make packs. I like to do a bit of everything, and you really go further and further into crafting your own instruments, crafting your own sound, and knowing your tools because you designed them yourself. It takes space on the hard drive, but that's what hard drives are for. So don't hesitate. I can tell you that for me, it made a huge difference. Racks and variations is a huge game changer. When you dive into it, it's really, really so fun to use. So that's it, guys. That's it for this video. I hope you found it useful. Tell me which tip was the most useful to you. If you have your own tips, feel free to share them in the comments. If you are willing to go further and improve your workflow, but also your sound design, your composition techniques, I offer one-on-one coaching sessions. You can contact me on any of my socials and we'll get into more details with that. Thank you, guys. Like the video. Feel free to subscribe to not miss the future content. Follow me on my social media. Thank you and see you in the next one.